On the broadcast with me right now is Simon Spungin. He is the managing editor of Haaretz.com. Simon, thanks very much for speaking with us here at WION. I hope I got your last name correctly. Do correct me if I didn't. What are the key issues for Israel in this election?
Netanyahu, in a word. The key issue is Netanyahu. Will Israeli voters overlook the serious criminal charges against him, at least for the next few months, and vote him back into power? There is no other issue.
Not even national security?
Like both the leading contenders, Benny Gantz's Blue and White Party and Netanyahu's Likud Party, are strong on security. Netanyahu's built his reputation on being Israel's Mr. Security, domestically and internationally. The other party has three former general IDF chiefs of staff in its ranks. So national security is safe in either of those parties' hands. It really boils down to whether voters have had enough of a prime minister who is facing, as you mentioned, three serious criminal investigations, against whom the Attorney General has already recommended criminal charges, and against whom those charges could be brought any day.
Right, and if he does manage to overcome those challenges and come back to power as the for a fifth term, does he have the power also to influence in some ways those charges of graft against him?
Well, he's already tried to turn this criminal investigation into a public trial. As you also mentioned, it's a referendum about Netanyahu today. So if he is re-elected, he will be able to turn around and say, the people of Israel trust me, and the subversive institutions, the subversive legal institutions, which incidentally he's responsible for appointing. The Attorney General who indicted him was appointed by Netanyahu, let's not forget. But he'll be able to turn around and say that these elites, these state institutions are against me, but the court of public opinion has acquitted me. So even if he's sent to jail, which is highly unlikely, he will still claim A, innocence, and B, the support of the Israeli people. And he won't be wrong.
Interesting. And we've spoken about, let's say, he's up against in the form of those corruption charges. But what about the things that work in his favor? For instance, the balancing act that he's managed to pull off when it comes to the United States and Russia. Is that an ace up Mr. Netanyahu's sleeve?
Netanyahu has played the international cards very well. He is an expert. Just last week, President Trump granted him recognition of the Golan Heights, the occupied Golan Heights, as Israeli territory, something that every Israeli politician has pushed for. Just at the end of last week, the remains of an Israeli soldier missing for almost 3 decades were returned with the help of Russia. So Netanyahu has recruited world leaders, including Bolsonaro in Brazil, controversially, as his election cheerleaders. He is a master at the political game and the international relations game. That very much works in his favor today. Plus, in terms of Israeli politics, it's impossible to overlook the fact that the whole Israeli political landscape has shifted rightwards in the last 10 years. A party that was 5 years ago seen as centrist is now on the right of the political spectrum. So whoever gets in, we're not going to have a peace-seeking, compromising government. We're going to have, in terms of the Israel-Palestine conflict, a hardline government. The question is whether it's Netanyahu with his extreme right-wing partners or whether it's Gantz with his slightly more centrist partners.
All right, and what will this mean for India? The ties between the two countries have flourished, so to speak, under Prime Minister Netanyahu and Prime Minister Modi's relationship. It's been one full of optics, ticking a lot of boxes. Do you think that's going to continue if there is an off chance that Benny Gantz does make it into the Prime Minister's seat?
Without a doubt. All of the nascent relationships and all of the relationships that Israel has forged over the years are very important. The optics, as you say, might be different. We might not have the kind of love affair that Netanyahu and Modi have been conducting. But certainly on a practical level, there is absolutely no reason that won't continue as it has in the recent years.
Right. Last question to you, Simon. What about social media? What role has that played in this election? Who has managed to sort of rule the roost when it comes to the online outreach, especially for young voters who are a key segment, if I'm not wrong?
No, you're absolutely right. Social media in this and every election is playing a huge role. I think if the Mueller report in the United States has taught us anything, it's that we won't know the impact that social media has had for many years to come. All the parties are very adept at playing social media. They're all bombarding Israelis with messages left, right and centre. But it is such a huge issue and one that we know so little about that it will take, I think, many years before we fully understand the impact that it's had.
All right. So that's another commonality between India and Israel in that case. Simon Spungin, thanks very much for joining us this afternoon and sharing your thoughts with us on that key election. We're sticking with that story for a while longer, though. WION's West Asia Bureau Chief, Daniele Pagani, is bringing you the latest.